Hey friends, welcome to Wednesdays with Whitney on Friday. Thanks for your flexibility. I am still in San Diego. These are oranges. This is an orange tree behind me, although they look green, but they're orange elsewhere. And so I'm in paradise and it's pretty great, and you can hear the chimes behind me, and hopefully that's not too crazy, but we're gonna focus on the task at hand. So I have been in San Diego a total of 4 times since August, and back in August, I started a journey with HeartCore Leadership, and honestly, I dove into this thing really not knowing what it was. I knew that I was going to need to be out here for 2 weeks and then 3 subsequent 2-day intervals. And all I really knew was that it was leadership. Someone that I trusted, Kathleen Reeson, had said, this was amazing for me. I think you get to go to this. And I just signed up. And started this experience. So I'm going to give a little recap of what that has been for me. But I wanted to start with a question that Sarah Sparks, the lovely Sarah Sparks, asked of me. And her question was, how do you fully and completely love yourself? How do you be happy now? So I have an answer for this question, but I can honestly tell you that a year and a half ago, I would not have had an answer for this question. People would have seen me and thought that I was happy and enthusiastic and joyful and living my life to the fullest, and that would have not been accurate. And so when this leadership program fell into my lap, I jumped at the chance to expand myself, because I knew that I was living in a joy deficit. I knew that I was acting joy, I was acting enthusiasm, I was appearing, I was doing happiness, but I was not living from a foundation of joy and a foundation of commitment to myself. And I didn't know what this leadership program would be, but I knew that I needed a change. And so when Sarah asked that question, like, how do you live fully and completely loving yourself? A year and a half ago, I wouldn't have known that answer. And I think a lot of people would have expected me to have an answer to that. And I want to kind of take a moment to talk about the fake it till you make it slogan, like, fake it till you make it, and what that really means, or what that means to me. And when I started my business 4 years ago, I started from nothing, zero, absolute zero. And I knew to have a successful business, I needed to show up as if I had something. I needed to fake it until I made it. And so when I was showing up as I had something, I was having coffee meetings like I'd been doing business for 3 years. I was doing shoots like I'd had 100 clients before. And this role of doing and grabbing and showing up and saying yes to everything, that was creating this spin cycle of doing and not being joyful, of just faking it. It was creating a spin cycle of faking it. So when I was showing up to things and smiling, I was photographing hundreds of events during the year. And, part of being at an event is being part of the enthusiasm, or at least it is for me. Part of me showing up at an event or photographing somebody is showing up with all my enthusiasm, all my happiness, and all of my calmness, or my way of being. And there was a time there about 2.5 years into my business where I didn't have that anymore. I did not have a foundation of joy. I did not have a foundation of self. I had given it all away while I was faking it, trying to make it. And I had gotten to this point, this was about 2.5 years into my business. I'd lost my studio space, and I felt that loss. I felt that loss deeply. I felt, I really took that in and made that about me when it really wasn't. And I let that define a lot of things for a while. And I let that take a lot of joy from me for a while. And it took me a while to rebound from that. And saying yes to HeartCore Leadership was what started the process, the overturn of saying, something needs to change in my life. I get to change. I get to show up for me. I get to be integrated into me. I don't need to show up and fake it. I don't need to be anything other than who I am every other day. But to be honest, I had to go back in and find out who that person was, because I knew that the person that I was putting out every day, I knew her, I liked her, but I didn't feel like her anymore. So when I would show up in public, I was like, who is that? Who's that person? And then I would come home and I'd be like, okay, how do we reconcile this? So HeartCore, that's what it's called. If you guys want any details, just reach out to me, I'll ask. I'll answer any questions, but this program is a true and total deep dive into self. It is leadership from this perspective of you can't lead until you have your heart, your soul, your mind, your ways of being in alignment. And it turned, I didn't know that this was what it was. I thought maybe I'd be diving into business goals, and I did that. But when I got there and really realized what I had signed up for, I just knew that I was in the right place. Because I know that I'm capable of anything that I want to do. But who I was being, how I was treating myself, how I was viewing myself was what was holding me back. So the training itself is 4 months. It's huge parts of my day every single day. And it has been the most intense period of connection of my life, not only with my Iowa people, all you people, hi guys, but with leaders all across the country. So there were 77 of us that started this program, came together. It's the most diverse group of humans that I have ever been around, and we came together as strangers. We came together as strangers, and then we left this process as family. And I am not joking when I say family. I'm saying these are the people that are now on speed dial on my phone, because they know me. They know me at my core. They know me at my depth. They know my good. They know my ugly. And they know a holistic version of me that I got to share with them, and that I got to build confidence that I could go share elsewhere. And I think when you're being a leader, and I see myself as a leader, and I cannot wait to see what leadership I can create in the world. But when you're a leader, the most important thing is being able to be you, right? Like having true and total confidence in exactly who you are, so that when you show up in a room, everybody else's reactions to you they're just reactions. You get to be fully comfortable in everything that is wonderful and magical about your being. And that is exactly what I got from this space. I got to look at the person that I had created, and I got to look at the person that I was, and I got to forgive myself for a lot of things. I got to forgive myself for mistakes that I made. I got to forgive my past. I got to really get in touch with so much of me that I hadn't looked at in a long time, because I was so busy doing. And I know all you entrepreneurs out there that are watching this can totally relate to the schedule day by day. We keep going and we don't look back at how we got there. And I'm not talking about the mechanisms, right? The step-by-step how we got there. I'm talking about in our heart, how did we get to this? How did we get to the point where we said yes to something that didn't feel good? Or how did we get to the point where we're working for somebody else, where we feel like we're working for somebody else and we're not really working for ourselves, even when that was our intention? So Amanda asked me, how do you see this experience, this leadership experience, impacting your life 1 year from now? I can tell you that the goals that I'm setting for myself in 2020 are not goals that I could have even conceived of 4 years ago. They're not even goals that I could have conceived of last year. They're goals that scare the crap out of me. And when I say that with excitement. I'm like, oh yes, I get to set a goal. I get to know that I'm supported, and I get to create this. And I have a group of people that I've been going through this process with, that know how to support me both inside and out. And I know that I get to come home to Des Moines, and I get to create that with all of you guys. So my goal setting has completely changed. What I think is possible has completely changed. What about 5 years from now? You know, one of the biggest things that happened out of this was how it changed my interpersonal relationships. So literally how it changed my relationship with my mom, with my brother, with my partner, with my friends, and how I'm really able to be a powerful friend for people. And I've always been a really good friend. Like I take a lot of pride in being a good friend, but I'm able to approach that differently now, so that I don't need to control it. You guys might know that I have a bit of a control issue. I mean, we've seen this, right? I'm a business owner. If you're a business owner and you don't have control issues, then like, what are you doing? But I'm able to enter in those relationships and just sit with them, be with them, be a support for them without having to solve their problems. I know the difference. I know what that looks like, and I know what that feels like. And what a powerful change for somebody who loves to fix things. What a weight that it takes off of my shoulder, just to know that I can help shift somebody's point point of view and perspective about themselves without actively doing the work, because it's their work to do, right? I don't have to do it. I don't need to do it. Like, I can just show up and be present with them, and they get to do it. So those are the two biggest things. I know that from this 4 months of immersive deep dive leadership, I get to set big goals that are scary and that I never would have even conceived of setting. And I know that I get to have some of the best relationships that I've ever had, and that gets to keep going. Like, holy crap. Like, when you are able to build, like, being able to build the friendships that I have and then build on the friendships that I've already had is one of the biggest payoffs. And as a leader, we know that we cannot do this alone, right? It's the people that sleep next to us. It's the people who answer the phone at 4 a.m. It's the people that we have coffee with regularly. Those are the people that get us from point A to point B. And by lifting them up, I know that I get more at the end of the day. So that's 1 in 5 years, Miss Amanda. Thanks for that awesome question. And then Mr. Peter, who's going to go through this program in January, and I'm like dying. I cannot wait. Because there's like a language and there's like things, and I cannot wait to share pieces of this with people from Des Moines. So he asked must share how HCL, that's the acronym, HCL, has impacted your life personally and professionally. So I actually kind of just did that. And I think some things that you can look forward to from me is I'm going to keep doing the things that I'm doing. I love photographing you. Oh my gosh. But I really like photographing you now is going to it has been coming from a completely different place. Like, the amount of joy that I've been able to step back into in that process is immense. I get so excited again to photograph. And that was just going in and doing some work on me. I just needed to do some work on me so I could come back with all of that joy to that process. We're building the Your Personal Brand Launch core curriculum, and there's still space in that. If you guys are waiting, stop waiting. Like, literally, stop waiting. Stop waiting on anything in your life that you are waiting on. I'm actually going to use this as my end message. Stop waiting. Stop waiting. It doesn't have to be this course, but if there's a thing that you're like, hey, I've been wanting to do that. I've been wanting to do that. Stop selling yourself short, get in there, because that is where change gets made. Anyway, so building that course, we're building hummingbirds. I've got some really cool things that are going to be expanding through Unapologetically Extra. And you can count on me to show up bigger for you. And when I say bigger, I mean, I'm going to make bigger plays. I'm going to ask more of you guys. I'm going to ask you to participate more. I'm going to share more. I'm going to be more truthful in every single aspect that I possibly can. And that scares me a little bit, because I see some people out there that are really just like laying themselves out. And I admire that so much. And I get to work towards that. I get to work towards that honesty that really makes an impact. So you can count on me to have more of that in the world. And then I want to come back around to Sarah's question about how do you completely and fully love yourself? And this has been the biggest part of leadership, because for me, to be a leader means being completely and 100% comfortable standing in who you are so that you can bring others with you. And while I've been lucky to have a strong sense of self. Truly, I was somehow born with that. But my sense of self really got pulled for a while into who I needed to be successful. And this program brought me back to self. It gave me the space to know that I was loved, I was trusted, I was cared for by myself. Because so much of the time we're spending like, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you accept me? Do you trust me? Do you trust me? And then when someone says no, we're like, but at the end of the day, if we love ourselves, I get to love myself, I get to trust myself, and I get to know that if someone doesn't like me, that's cool. I'm still a likable person, even if somebody doesn't like me, because I like myself. And so I think these are a lot of concepts that get talked a lot about in self-help books. Like, you can read book after book after book. I have, believe me, I'm like a self-help junkie. But there's a difference between reading it and understanding it and feeling it. And what this program gave me was feeling it. I get to feel these concepts. I get to feel what trust felt like in myself, for myself. I get to feel what love from strangers felt like, and it wasn't weird. Like that's a whole thing. You can talk to me about that. I got to understand ideas of being responsible for everything in my life, of being committed, what that looks like, and like really feeling those things. So those are just the interpersonal ways of loving myself. And so I can say that loving myself, I would love to say that it's a journey, but I think it's a decision. And it's a decision made. For me, it was a decision made in this process when I got to take a really deep look at myself and I got to let go of all the things that I thought weren't lovable. And I just got to say, you know what? I get to decide that all parts of me are lovable. I get to decide, no one else does. And I get to live in that every single day with confidence that I've made the right choice, right? And then when I make the right choice about loving myself, that allows everybody else in my sphere that I bring into my bubble to make the right choice about loving me and trusting me and treating me well. So we'll end on that note about loving ourselves and trusting ourselves and being treated well. If anybody wants to hear more about this, I am like in love with this program. It was the hardest work I've ever done, so like get ready. But if you're ready for hard work, if you are ready for work that is only going to take you further, if you are ready to open yourselves up to possibility, give me a call, DM me, like whatever, you know how to get a hold of me. Everybody on here knows how to get a hold of me. I'm probably one of the most easily accessible people on the internet right now. That's not true. There's other people, but in our space. Okay. Love you guys. I'm going to go back to my San Diego life. Before I do that, I'm just going to show you where I'm sitting. So, oh my gosh, look at this. Yes, be jealous. It's amazing. It's amazing. And then I'm actually in a backyard, and it's beautiful. So I'm going to go back to enjoying this and working on your personal brand launch curriculum. And I will see you guys next week. Bye.